Can you just turn it off, turn it back on?
Absolutely.
Um, that was interesting. Anyways, so it really was one of those situations where we had a really hard time. Even wanting to work morning shifts. I actually started doing afternoons because on afternoons I found that the people that I worked with were far more understanding, were far more open to to conversation as opposed to, the others.
Yeah.
And that's again, it's like I feel as PSWs when it comes to bullying, we are our own worst enemies.
Well, it's a bad environment too when you're trying to balance so many different uh issues. Like you have general staff shortages. You have high pressures for management to maintain, well, especially in those days before the FLTC 4 hours of care. So now they had to balance those, plus all the directions from family, plus the individual navigating individual care plans and aligning those care plans with. I mean, it's a tense environment, and at the end of
Oh
the
yeah.
day, I mean, really, a lot of this bullying is just from looking at it from our work here at OPSWA is, it seems to be that it's where you see the shortages, is where you see it's where the issues of healthcare are primarily expressed, which means is that this is where the real issues in healthcare are, is those interactions between the PSW, the reporting, and the patient. It's this dynamic is where all that negative energy coalesces into one part. So yeah, there it needs more attention, and and you can see why it's bullying. But it also is in areas that's not under LTC. You see this in high schools. You see this in bullying within PSWs.
It's in home care. You see this and I think it again, Ian, it goes back to number one, kind of the lack of knowledge surrounding personal support workers from a management standpoint, but also that lack of respect.
Yeah,
And that's really disheartening because before there was the PSW, there was a healthcare aide.
yeah,
Like this is not a new thing, guys. Like we've always kind of been around, but the PSW obviously is like a friggin' superhero HCA because of all the different training that we have that the HCAs didn't have. But the job is still the same, and yet the issues still remain. We've
yeah.
had PSWs go off on stress leave because of the bullying in long-term care.
It's
We've had
regular.
PSWs off themselves
Mhm.
because of the bullying in long-term care. And so, that's why I say and I've said this time and time again, Ian, there's no room for egos in healthcare. And I think that really needs to be something that we all stick in our brains to say, you may know more than the person that you're working with. You may not like the person that you're working with, but while you're at work, buck it up, sweetheart,
I
and
agree.
deal with it because that is your coworker and you have to work with them. You're not always going to work with people that you like, but you have to move past that because if you don't, who suffers? The
Yeah,
residents.
it's one of those things, and we know that in healthcare, and this is part of the culture which we are working to change. But to say it's an uphill battle is putting it
Easy.
mildly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we eat our young. Like new PSWs, even when new graduates, we see it on our group. They come in and they're like, "I'm starting," and the negativity people say, like, "You better get yourself strengthened up. You better brace for." It's like, okay, first of all, that's a terrible advice to tell someone you need to buck up, or telling someone that you handled it, so you have to too. It's not healthy. We want to create a more supportive environment. I mean, we need PSWs to be supported because those are how that negativity, that bullying impacts the patient. It's their home. This bullying is occurring in their homes, regardless of the setting, or in their workplaces if they're students.
Yeah. Like you want drama? Keep the drama at home. You want to do that stuff? Keep it all. Like it doesn't need to come into the workplace. And this is where it's like, why isn't that kind of, and I'm going to get chewed out for saying this, but it's kind of like that mean girls mentality. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? You're
I
like,
guess. Yeah,
I'm the queen bee. I'm the one who runs the place. This is my shift. These are my people. These are my residents. And we're going to do it the way that I want to do it. No, that doesn't work that way. We're adults for shit's sake. Like, why is this even a topic that we have to talk about on the podcast? And it's because it's a real serious issue that is not talked about enough. And then, Ian, let's go on to the next part of that bullying. You talk about the next part where we've gotten countless over the years stories, just for everyone watching, PSWs reporting abuse to us because they go to report abuse to their management and their management sweeps it under the rug. I think one of my favorite ones is from the other day where she's being bullied and she doesn't like working with this person and tells them that this person's bullying them, and they put them on the same shift on the same floor. Where's the
Intentionally,
logic in that?
intentionally,
Intentionally.
intentionally. That shows that there's no management wisdom or philosophy that's governing these relationships. That seems to be run out of spite. It almost seems like you have a management team that's running the department out of spite, and God forbid the people that are under those cares. So whatever management team embraces those, yeah, you keep, that's not something that we can respect in truth. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we've lost sight. But I mean,
Yeah.
this is the expression of institutionalized care. That's the problem with it. I mean, ever since you've had institutionalized care, you've had these dynamic issues of who performs the dirty jobs and who don't, and it's all very hierarchical. Um, but the problem we also see is what to do with it. Like there's no real mechanisms to follow up on these things. I mean, most of these are handled through internal long-term care homes and their respective collective bargaining agreements. So for a lot of PSWs, they're kind of, well, in a catch-22. They can report it. So they can report it, but there's no guarantee that there'll be any sort of result happening. So they have to endure it. Now, if you have to constantly endure bullying and you know you have no recourse, that's no longer bullying, that's torture. Okay? Like that's torture. Okay? You have to go every day, you have no recourse. They get to treat you any way they want. What the hell?
Or Ian, they go and report it and they get a target
That's
on
even more
their back.
exactly right. So then they're targeted. So now it's amplified bullying. We're now going to really make you pay for this. And it's like, what are you doing? Why would you run a home like this? But it's quite, we hear enough stories to say that
It's rampant.
yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
unfortunately, but it's rampant, and it's because I don't know why it's like, well, the media, the government, whatever, they'll only talk about frontline healthcare when it benefits them or when something huge is going on, and there's a lot of attention on it in the moment. But then, as soon as something else comes up, obviously everybody moves on. But the problems still exist, and these band-aids that people have been, constantly putting band-aid over band-aid over band-aid, they're all ripping off, or they fall off because it's a consistent battle. It's this culture in frontline healthcare. And I'm not saying this happens everywhere. We've seen some, workplaces that are phenomenal and support their staff like crazy and they're just really healthy work environments. Everyone seems to forget though, like we said earlier, that at the end of the day, this toxic environment, because that's exactly what it
oh, yes.
is directly affecting the patients, these people that live there. Like, we gotta really remember them because I feel like we forget.
Oh, all the
We're
time. Yeah.
all the time, we're constantly forgetting that this is actually directly impacting these individuals. And I know as a PSW myself that when I became a PSW, my end goal for everything was that my residents received the best care possible and that they lived out their life well. In a toxic situation, you're then dealing with tensions. They don't need that tension coming into their room.
No,
Like it's like, holy heck, like why aren't we as a society not more focused on the patient-centered care, which I mean everyone claims to be, but apparently not if we're allowing this level of bullying and toxicity into these homes.
because
I
it's
said it. I said it.
well, it is. I mean, this is the whole thing about the Patient's Bill of Rights. This ties into that as well. So there's that additional thing that we need to be looking at. And part of the Patient's Bill of Rights and a lot of the philosophies and spirit of the government of the Fixing Long-Term Care Act really require building a positive environment in those long-term care facilities. So there is a disconnect, but there is where we see positive. So just for those out there who are thinking all hope is all, it isn't. There are lots of examples where we have amazing long-term care facilities, and the hats off in almost all of these cases to leadership. In a long-term care facility where you see lots of bullying, if you're a PSW and you're in a long-term care job, any environment where you're seeing lots of bullying and you're not getting anywhere, and you realize this is being an entrenched system now because there really is no recourse, then
Leave.
you can see that that's bad management
Yeah.
that wants to run a negative environment, so they have something that they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
So approach such environments with caution. If you're PSWs, if you're going into a situation where you're dealing with what's the word, compulsive bullying, chronic bullying,
Chronic
entrenched
bullying,
bullying.
yeah,
I don't know what the
entrenched,
term is,
yeah,
but run, because
run.
that is a bad management structure. There is no leadership in those teams. Sorry to say, but if you have bullying in your team, that means the leadership is not interested in fixing it, and they have the power to fix it. They just have to
Absolutely.
set the tenor. But they
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you 1010%. Yeah. I mean, that the leadership has the ability to fix these toxic environments.
they do.
Absolutely, they do. And it might take getting rid of some of the toxic people, but at the end of the day, like, we're not 15 anymore.
No,
And it's
there's
not like, there's no reason for this to be occurring any longer. And when I say, like, because I've been called out on this a few times, as I said the other day, Ian, about having that thick skin, this is what I'm talking about, right? There will be banter, there will be things that people say, that if that's happening once in a while, that's not bullying. That's just, either people are overwhelmed or they're just whatever. I mean, I'm making reasons, not excuses. Bullying is when you get so anxious before you show up for your shift that you're sitting in your car smoking 10 cigarettes back to back, or you know what I mean? Or you're having a panic attack crying over the phone to your best friend because you don't want to go into your job. That's
yeah.
bullying.
Well, exactly, because you know that whoever is supervising or who's in control of that situation does not have your best interests at heart, and is sitting there with their pen and paper waiting for you to make a mistake so they can write you up and make you look like the animal or the bad person, not animal, sorry.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
that's
true.
negativity. That's what we see that all the time, and it's like it's intolerable and it should not be tolerated. So we
No.
really got to work better at identifying these bad management practices, because they do have a huge impact on quality of life for everyone in Ontario that's in the long-term care or retirement homes, because they're bad managers means a bad home. Sorry, it is what it
You
is.
know what? And like I've said before, in many different times, Ian, when people come to us, they immediately blame the CEOs of these homes and they blame the big boss because that's where the blame always goes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But when we've seen it, and we've seen it for years, guys, looking at it from an association, reading all your emails, reading your stuff online, witnessing for myself when I worked in long-term care, it's middle management.
It
Middle
is. It
management
is.
is the problem. Absolutely. And they are welcome to come at me for it on this. I do
Well,
not mind.
they're in between two hard spots, and anyone in
It's
middle
not an easy job
management.
to be
No,
in. No.
but at the end of the day, the management, the people and middle management, the directors, the people that actually run the facilities on the day to day, they are the ones that set the policy. Now, corporate headquarters or MLTC headquarters can say, we want a positive work environment, but it's up to the managers of those homes and the leadership of those individual homes to interpret what that means. So they say positive, well, that means we're going to have no accidents. We're going to have 100% per compliance with every rule. We're going to have an absolutely rigid environment to work in. And anyone who doesn't comply, we're going to make sure that you know that we don't like that. Well, that's a horrible way approach to dealing with long-term care home. It's ridiculous. So
No, you can't. You can't.
you
It's not
can't.
realistic.
It's not if you want to have a quality of life element embedded. If you want to run it as a corporation, then you're going to get negativity,
Oh,
unfortunately.
absolutely. And that's unfortunately that's where long-term care has gone, is become extremely corporate, extremely business minded, as opposed to healthcare minded,
Oh,
where
absolutely.
where you put the residents first, right? And that's what's created this kind of turmoil in long-term care that is still there. I mean, 20 years ago I worked in long-term care and it's still there. But I really believe, and I want to speak to the PSWs that are watching right now, because no matter, I know it's really hard and I know it's difficult, but PSWs have the ability to change that environment. PSWs have the ability to be leaders and enact change in those environments. And it's not easy to be a leader. Trust me. It's not easy to be a leader. But if you are able to when you have a good working team like we do here at OPSWA, an amazing working team, we all work together. Every day is not sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops. Let me tell you guys, it's not easy at all, but we still respect one another and we work hard together. And it doesn't matter if one of us is ticked off that day or one of us is exhausted. We still come together when needed. And
Yeah.
those are the teams that they should be really vying for in long-term care homes. I had that with my afternoon shift when I worked in long-term care. I was working with these three wonderful women. There was only four of us on the floor. It was a smaller long-term care home. but not that small. We still had a lot of residents each, but they were fantastic. And these were the old healthcare aides, but they really had come and really gotten a real kind of good vibe down when they were working. But the interesting part is when you bring in a toxic person, they'd shut them right down. It was phenomenal to watch
So true. When I
because their end goal was the resident.
Yeah, and see where my first experience in long-term care was a independent living facility in Toronto, um, down on Dover near Yorkville, right downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing facility. Again, they really embraced the patient-centered first. They had a lot of high-profile residents in this specific facility, so there was a lot of attention on it. But that attention really resonated because the community was really involved in that long-term care facility. It had a long history, and it was a great place for you. And I think it is still. I haven't been there in 20 years, but it was good when we left it. But there is, again, it does require leadership, but it also back to the community. PSWs who are tolerating this abuse endlessly, just going into you're not doing yourselves any favors. But at the same point in time, we need to be more aware of what's happening. I think it's
Also, too, going back to the self-care element for PSWs. Why? I mean, okay, so yeah, your pay is great. You make good money. Awesome. But you're slowly dying on the inside because you are getting bullied at work every day. Where's the self-care?
well, what is the value of your
Where's the
morale?
value? Yeah, you're gonna put value on yourself first so you don't deal with this. This is not normal. This should not be occurring. However, certain management allows it to occur, which is really sad. And hopefully someday I hope this gets rectified. But why would you do that to yourself? Like I always say to PSWs, self-care of yourself is the most important.
Mm.
And you need to take care of yourself so that you can not only, maintain your personal life, but also take care of those that you're tasked to care for.
It's it's easier said than done. I think you're right. We got to do more
Yeah.
for PSWs. But right now, and I'm going to speak for a lot of PSWs I've been speaking with, it's a money issue. Like
Yeah.
self-care, and when we think about self-care, it's like, oh, I mean, a lot of the imagery online is take yourself for a spa day, take yourself up to a fancy dinner, go for a luxury boat ride in Toronto. It's like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't
With what
afford to do
money?
any of that.
And,
Like,
and that's not what I'm talking about when I'm
no,
talking
I
about
know, but that's
self-care.
the
So
image
thanks
I
for
get
bringing
when I
that
hear
up. Yeah.
wellness because it's like, oh, go for a spa day and yeah, like an expect like no, a wellness day is, I need to take a step back from this today and just sleep. It can be that. It's just whatever you need, really.
It really is. And we do that here at OPSWA too, where every once in a while we step back
Yeah.
because, I mean, you're gonna find me on the couch watching Ghost Adventures, but I mean that's where I am. But I mean, like it's you step back and you kind of take your head out of that situation because you're no help to anyone if you're not mentally doing well. And I don't want to get another phone call, Ian, of another PSW offing themselves
Oh
because
God,
of
no.
bullying. Like that's just heartbreaking and that should not be the case. And
Yeah.
I find that individual was very much let down by her coworkers and her management.
Of course.
It's disgusting. Disgusting.
They preyed on someone that they knew they could get away with it and they pushed that person to die. They're
And it's like what you feel good, you feel big, you feel, it's like keyboard warriors. It's that same kind of thing, People can say
yes.
all sorts of stuff online, but they never say it to my face or yours. And it is what it is. You feel great for that moment, but I always think people that do that and bully and so on and so forth, I actually somewhat feel empathetic towards them because I think, what is going wrong in your life that you have to target someone and treat them like crap just to feel better about yourself? Like that's a real kind of sick cycle, you
That
know?
is well, it's an excellent point. What is happening? Like we all have our own demons, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
truth of it. But I mean, bullying people, it makes no sense. And I mean,
Yeah, I've never been a bully. It's
it
never been in my DNA,
I
and
get
I
people
don't
want
understand
power.
it.
Well, people want power. I guess it's an expression of power, but at the same time, it's a pointless one.
It's a very weak expression of power.
Well, yeah,
Because if you want power and proper leadership, leadership is building people up. You know what I mean? Promoting people, really working with people, allowing their talents to shine.
and
That's what leadership is all about. Bullying is the complete opposite of proper leadership.
bullying is designed to maintain bad systems. That's what bullying is there for. This is the way we do things in this facility. We don't care about the regulations. We do things here because we want to keep everything running smoothly. That's our culture here.
On TikTok right here, I just had Victoria. Victoria says, I stopped being a PSW because of how bad it was.
It's getting exactly. So Victoria, in a case like Victoria, and I don't know who Victoria is. Hi, Victoria. Sorry you had to leave the field, but at the end of the day, you need to put yourself first. I mean, yes, we need PSWs to do healthcare, and of course, you're important. But if you're bullied, first of all, if you're getting bullying and it's chronic, reach out to the association. We're taking a more active interest in this as we go forward. Um, PSWs have alternatives to employment. The people that are bullying you are telling you that they have you trapped, yada yada yada.
They don't.
Get a second opinion, okay? Like seriously, this is confidential if you need to reach out to the association. So um, it's part of our efforts to fight this and provide an alternative. But I
I
think we
mean,
got Miranda. I think we're
yeah,
down.
we do. We do. I was just going to say that one of the bonuses of being of reaching out to the association is we actually do understand we have 3 PSWs on staff. I'm one of them. You know, this is nothing new to us, unfortunately, but we can definitely talk to you, support you, and you know, if you need extra supports, you know, help you find those supports. It's you know, at the end of the day, we're here to take care of you guys and protect you guys and bring these issues to the forefront because this needs to be said and the public needs to know. And I'm kind of done, and I think Ian's with me on this one, of hiding the dirty laundry in the corner.
Oh,
It's
I
about time that we hang that dirty laundry for everyone to see because
well,
that's the only way we're going to have change.
and we have an opportunity now. They're building a lot of long-term care homes, so there's going to
Yep.
be a lot of new cultures. It's an
Yep.
opportunity to start on the right foot. We'll see what happens.
Amen. Well, anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining us. It was a bit of a chaotic PSW podcast this Friday, but as you guys can tell, bullying is something that we're very passionate about and passionately against in the PSW world or anywhere in the world, actually. And I just want to thank you all for joining us. For those of you that are on TikTok, please stick around. I'm going to be hanging out there for a Q&A. So if you, for our PSWs on Facebook, if you have TikTok, come over and join us. If, you can find us under OPSWA 2024. That is our name there. We will see you guys next Friday. Ian, yet again, always great conversation.
Always a
Thanks so
pleasure.
much. And with everyone, if you're not a member yet, make sure to reach out, www.opswa.ca. Make sure you get yourself protected today. Thanks very much for joining us. And with that, we're going to say, Ian,
OPSWA
OPSWA
out.
out.